Strange New Worlds puts on its comedy hat. Hello, everybody. This is Phil, and we're back for another Star Trek Strange New Worlds review. This episode here is called Spock Amok. It's the fifth episode of season one, and it's Star Trek Strange New Worlds' first kind of light episode, which comes right off the back of probably the most intense Star Trek episode I've seen in a very, very, very long time. So it was nice to have a breather. I saw a few people on the Star Trek pages say they weren't really with it because of the fact that last episode was really heavy. And I had that question myself. I was wondering, something that I do like about Strange New Worlds that despite it being episodic, which I'm not a huge fan of, I like that they said, and they said this even before the series went on the air, that it wouldn't be reset button type of episodic, that it would kind of carry on from what happened before. So this is nice, right? We're getting a ship repair after the Gorn attack, but it still felt like everybody had just moved on, emotionally. Oh my God, I forgot to do something. Okay. Speaking of moving on, let me not move on before I, one, say thank you to everybody that's watching. Okay. I'm getting a steady little uh, view stream here, which is fine. Let's keep it going. I enjoy talking to you guys. Thank you to the person who commented last video. I'm actually going to call her out. And what is her name? She commented on my video for Memento Mori, and she made a really nice comment. And I'm gonna go down there and actually say what it is. This is live, guys. This is absolutely live. I do have some notes here, but every once in a while I go off my mental script. Alexa, thank you for commenting. She says that she agrees. Pike's leadership really shone with this episode being Memento Mori. Absolutely. That was Pike. That was finally me seeing Pike at his toughest. And it was really awesome. But now it's back to, hey, lighthearted, Strange New Worlds. And it was a fun episode. It was definitely a fun episode. I enjoyed it. I still have this feeling that Strange New Worlds, it's like boldly going where I've been before, but it's being repackaged for a whole new audience. So if it gets young people into Trek and gets them to maybe check out Amok Time, okay, or other classic Star Trek episodes that are referenced even in prior episodes, then I'm a happy guy, so because Star Trek will live on, it will live on forever. So I'm okay with it. That's my only criticism of the show, which doesn't get me as pumped up as I have been for Discovery, and especially season two, which I've talked about at length here, how much I love season two. But season three and four were actually pretty good too, despite its low points. The so yeah, this is what doesn't excite me as much is the episodic, because it's like I've been there, done that. And even last night, or actually Tuesday, I do a Deep Space Nine review, so check that out if you're free. Tuesday evenings around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do a Deep Space Nine review, and we reviewed the episode of Deep Space Nine that I mentioned in Memento Mori, where Bashir and O'Brien are together in the on this planet that they're trying to destroy the last bits of a it's called Armageddon game. They're trying to destroy the last bit of this biological weapon, and you know Bashir has to be O'Brien's eyes and hands because O'Brien gets infected by this biological weapon that they're trying to destroy. So been there, done that, and even stuff like this. It was a nice twist, with what happened with Spock and T'Pring, but I've seen the characters not acting like they really act type of Star Trek episode. But I'm sure that there's millions, that's a big number there. It's not just a few, but millions of new fans that got hooked on Star Trek because of Star Trek Discovery, and now have moved on to Star Trek Strange New Worlds who have never seen anything like that. So it's cool for them that they get to experience a little bit of the Star Trek that I've already experienced because I've been a fan since I was like 6 or 7. I can't remember when I started watching Star Trek. I know, like I said last episode or last live cast that I did, is I remember the Horta, the pain, and I remember the Gorn. That's my earliest memories of Star Trek, and I was maybe 6 or 7. So I don't know how long I've been watching this show. It seems like it's always been with me. That said, this is a solid show. Strange New Worlds is very solid. I like that this episode gave us a moment to breathe and be with the characters. Okay, there was that little thing that happened with Spock and to print. And am I doing no spoilers? I don't know. I never know if I'm going spoilers or not. Usually do give a nice big old spoiler warning when I do go spoilers. But the episode definitely it centers around something that happens between Spock and T'Pring, and it's hijinky, to use a word that they use in the episode. But aside from that, we get the doctors, in this case Nurse Chapel, and the doctor going on shore leave with the pilot girl. I'm doing my best to. I'm gonna force myself to try to remember these characters' names without having to look them up. I want to see which of these characters start to slip off the tongue um, the quickest, and usually that means I connected with the character. Uh, you know, the best. So Ortega's is the one. See, I'm remembering some of their names. I'm not a big fan of the Doctor thus far. I'm not. And the on the Enterprise, they're trying to do these negotiations with this alien race to bring them into the Federation. So it's your usual Star Trek fodder. The negotiations aren't going as expected because this alien species is hard to read. Are they with us? Are they against us? Okay. And then the other story is Una and La'an, who stay on the ship. They're not into shore leave. Okay. They are where fun goes to die, to use another quote from the show. So there you go. Some mild spoilers there for you guys. And that for me was the best part of the show. I love Una and La'an interacting. They're the weirdos, but I love the weirdos, so I don't say that disparagingly. They're the ones that want to work. They don't get why everybody wants to go on shore leave and have fun, and they catch a couple of cadets. So yes, spoilers. Let's get it out of the way. Spoilers. If you have not seen this episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, you may get some spoilers. I'll try not to go heavy, but there you go. But they catch a couple ensigns screwing around on the ship. And, they give them a little bit of punishment, but then they think to themselves, they're having fun. Even on the ship, they're having fun. Why are we so serious? Let's try to have a little bit of fun ourselves. In fact, let's play what they were playing, which is Enterprise Bingo, which is really fun, man. And that was the best little sequence in the entire episode was Una and La'an interacting and La'an's character opening up, because you can't just be the one-dimensional, I'm always serious, I don't have fun, I'm uh, totally, I'm grieved all the time, and that's all I am, okay? And it seems like I'm contradicting myself from last week because last week I had said that it isn't cool that people don't like her because she is too serious. No, that's not a reason not to like the character because she's serious and she's grieving or she has PTSD at least. Maybe she's not grieving. But at the same time, it's cool to see that same character. I mean, she didn't change who she was, but interacting in a different way and not all the time having to be like, oh, I am here now to tell you how much life sucks or how dangerous the situation is because I'm totally traumatized by something that happened in my past. Even folks that are dealing with PTSD, dealing with depression, dealing with any type of mental illness have a life, unless it's severe, and in that case, I don't think she would be in Starfleet. She'd probably be in a psych ward. She's not. So at some point, somewhere in her character, there's space for socialization in her ability to socialize and get along with other people. And this episode did it. She's growing on me. She's growing on me as a character because of that. They're showing different sides of this woman who has gone through a lot. And did I mention that you should like and subscribe to this channel? I hope I did. Thank you to all the subscribers too. We've been getting some more subscribers with the Strange New Worlds live cast and the Star Trek Deep Space Nine live cast. We just did one on Tuesday, so check that one out. It was quite fun. We had a fun little run of episodes there. We usually do 5 to 6 episodes at a time. But anyway, back to this. What happens with Spock? So yes, definitely spoilers here. Spoilers here. Him and to Pring, they're trying to get their relationship working. She's upset. This is one passive aggressive, non emotional Vulcan. Good lord. But she's on the ship and she's a little bit upset that Spock is not spending enough time with her, and they got to make this relationship work. And she's doing her best, but Spock's got his duties because they're trying to get this alien race to enter the Federation. And so they're like, let's do some Vulcan magic and, do some meditation here that's going to get our chakras to switch bodies for a second so we can see from each other's eyes what life is like, what our life is like, and we can connect on a deeper level. Just that, their chakras get stuck, and each other. So it's Freaky Friday, basically. And it's there's some funny moments. I think it's a little bit too lighthearted. And this is where, as much as I'm not into these gatekeepy Trek fans. We're like, oh, canon, canon, canon. But for me, maybe a little bit too silly of a storyline to have Spock at the center of. Um, and yeah, I mean, I get that this is a younger Spock. This is a Spock that's still trying to figure himself out emotionally, figure out the balance between his human side and his Vulcan side. This is after the Cage, and the Cage famously has Spock smiling, and a lot of Trek fans are like, "Hey, what's up with that?" So the writers of Star Trek have written that into canon. There's that scary word. As far as, hey, Spock was still young and he was still trying to figure himself out. He wasn't completely in control of his emotions. This is about what, 5 years after that, 3 years after that. I'm not sure the timeline. So we still get a Spock that shows a bit of emotion. He shows a bit of emotion, and so I get all that. It still was a bit too lighthearted for me. Like I wasn't feeling Spock vibes. Actually, T'Pring did a better Spock than Ethan uh, did in this episode. But I do like him. I do like him a lot. And man, he's a good looking man. That's all I'll say about that. We need more shirtless Spock scenes. Although I do miss the beard. Good lord, that was a nice beard. And what else? What else, guys? I mean, fun episode. My only complaint is, yeah, to boldly go where we've been before. I wrote some notes here. I like the nice Kirk green uniform that Pike wore. A little bit modernized, but nice look. Kirk's is still the best because it looks like he just got out of bed, put on a nice little robe. Looks good as hell in that. But Pike wore it well. The opening sequence was interesting with Spock fighting himself, and it's a throwback to Amok time. If you've never seen that episode, you definitely should. And it's all a bad dream. Spock is fighting himself. He's fighting the human side versus the Vulcan side. We get mentions of the Klingons, finally. And I hope we get to see some Klingons. I really do. And I'm really curious as to what these Klingons are going to look like. And I like that they mentioned that they just came off the Klingon War. And they had mentioned the Romulans. So, the Trek universe is opening up a little bit as far as some of these alien races that we know. Although, canon wise, speaking of canon, I wonder if we will get to see the Romulans. But I could be completely wrong. But wasn't I think in TOS that was the first time that we got to see what the Romulans look like. I could be. It's late. I've been working since 7 a.m. It's 11 p.m. now. So forgive me if I misspoke there, or write it in the comments. I don't mind comments. I don't mind corrections in the comments at all. Just leave them there, folks. Leave them there. I love me some Trek comments. But yes, for me, Dr. What's his name? Mbega? Is that his name? Dr. Mbega? Yeah, I'm doing my best here, guys. I want to remember uh, everybody's name. But let's look. Strange New Worlds characters. But I believe it's Dr. Mbega, which hasn't done much for me. He has not done much for me. Yes, Dr. Mbenga at all. I do like Robert April. He's nice. I do like him a lot. And he showed up again in this episode. Hammer hasn't really done much for me this season. And he wasn't in this episode. And I didn't even know. I mean, I noticed that he wasn't there, but it made zero difference for me. He's not one of the most interesting characters. Um, Nurse Chapel, I know she's got a big following. She's cute. She's cute. She's like Tilly Light, kind of wacky, um, alternative type character. A rewriting of Christine Chapel, and one that I enjoy. Okay, I like the rewriting of her. Not my favorite character. I'm not gung ho about Miss Chapel or Nurse Chapel at the moment, but I like how they have just retconned her character completely. Very cool character. Uhura, I'm still not feeling young Uhura. I'm sorry. She's cute. She's cute. Great actress. I'm just not feeling Uhura vibes as of yet. And maybe that's because, yes, she is very young into her career. But I made that point last week in the Kelvin verse. That was a young Uhura. But I felt, mm, this is Uhura. Yes, it's a young one, and maybe they added a little bit more action element to her. Not a problem, but I felt that okay, in 10 years' time, she would settle down to be the Uhura that we meet in TOS. This Uhura, not so much. And who else? Well, Pike is Pike, and Sama. Let's look. As long as we're here, you can tell I'm holding back yawns, guys. But I wanted to put this out tonight because if I don't do it tonight, probably I would have done it on Sunday. The first meeting with Romulans, Star Trek. Romulans, yeah, Balance of Terror. First appeared in Star Trek original series episode The Balance of Terror and have been a mainstay in the lore of Trek ever since. The crew of the Enterprise, Spock included, did not know what Romulans look like, and neither did viewers of the show. So they mentioned Romulans, but we didn't get a what do you call it? We didn't get a to know they don't know what they look like, which is similar to uh, the Gorn situation. But yeah, see, I haven't watched all of Enterprise because I know season five, or would have been season five of Star Trek Enterprise. It's was supposed to be a Romulan war. So here it says that I'm at sci-fi.stackexchange.com, and somebody asked about the Romulans, and it says that in 2152, humans made first contact with the Romulans when the Enterprise NX-01 entered a Romulan-laid minefield. Communication was via audio only. Ah, that's what they did over there. Okay. The Romulans saw that humans fostered a spirit of cooperation among the long belligerent Vulcans, Andorians, and Tellarites. Realizing that this would bring solidarity to the region and an obstacle to conquest, the Senate took steps to turn these species against each other. Okay, so in 2154, Romulans conspired with Vilas, head of the Vulcan High Command, to invade Andoria. A few months later, the Empire sent prototype holoship remote controls from Romulus to disrupt the peace conference between Andorians and Tellarites. And then about 2156, the Earth Romulan War begins. Both sides, for unknown reasons, use weapons of an atomic nature. These were still in the Romulan inventory a century later. Let's see. In 2160, the Romulans and the humans signed the treaty ending the war and establishing a neutral zone 1 light year wide between their territories. So, yeah, I don't know how they would have done the Vulcan War in Star Trek Enterprise if the TOS episode was the first time that they saw what the Romulans look like. Anyway, kind of sucks. We may not see Romulans. Maybe audio only. Although somebody made a good point in the Star Trek, one of the Star Trek groups, even with the Gorn. I mean, we can see the Gorn. We can see the Romulans if it's just like from their planet or from their ship, but they're unwilling to turn on the visuals. So the crew of the Enterprise is not going to know what the Romulans look like, but the um, we the audience can see what they look like. So it's possible. Anyway, yes. Anything else that I have to say about this episode? I asked myself. Well, I I like the balance. I like that it was a light episode after a very heavy one. I did not like that everybody seemed to have gotten over everything. So that part was a little resetty, which I'm not a huge fan of. And I wonder if in the future Star Trek Strange New Worlds will end up becoming a bit more serialized. I say that only because the writing is so strong thus far, but it's playing it so safe. And safe is nice. Like I said, I'm doing a Star Trek Deep Space Nine review with my friend Peter every Tuesday on this channel. So like and subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified about it. And the first two seasons of Star Trek Deep Space Nine are like that. There's a lot of stuff that I like to call B scripts from TNG. And it really, it's like, okay, the crew goes a little crazy because of some virus or some gas cloud comes, uh, you know, affects all the systems on the ship or the base, in this case, the starbase. And everything's going to blow up in an hour. Or, it's always, these little Trek tropes. And the first two seasons of Star Trek Deep Space Nine are 100% watchable, 100% entertaining. Um, there's, out of 20 some episodes, maybe let's say five are going to be complete duds. And even they're not horrible, much better than season 1 and 2 of TNG or Voyager. But then all of a sudden, Star Trek Deep Space Nine changed. It got serialized. It became a character show. It already was, but it became a heavy character driven show, and it it trumped everything for me that came before it. It was much better than TNG, even though I loved the Next Generation. And it's because it took those chances. It realized you can't survive being just a TNG knockoff on a space station. I said starbase before, right? On a space station. You just can't. I mean, although there were sprinkles of its own characterizations, its own style, even from episode one, but whenever it did those episodes that were like that, it's just not memorable, especially once you get into season four, five, six, and seven, and even a big chunks of season three. And I think that's a little bit of what hurts Voyager, of why Voyager is liked by a lot of people, but it's never held up to that high esteem because Voyager is basically the next generation in the Delta Quadrant. It does have its own flavor. It's a little bit crazier. It's more action packed for sure. I like, for me, it's even a bit more like the original series than the next generation. It's like a blend of both. But at the end of the day, it's like it's not adding anything new. It had a lot of opportunity, and it had a lot of potential to do a lot of new things out in the Delta Quadrant. But in the end, it just became an episodic Adventure of the Week show, which we had before in TNG, and it was still like early enough where it got an audience, I guess. It went for 7 seasons. But by the time we get to Enterprise, and Enterprise does exactly the same thing again, just more Adventure of the Week, reset button, Adventure of the Week, reset button. We go down to a planet. I have seen about 18 episodes of the first season. I just haven't finished season one. So, okay, I've seen the episode where they're down on the planet on the cave, and there's some spores in the air, and everybody goes crazy, including to Paul. And it's like, okay, it's not a bad episode. It really isn't. But coming off the heels of what had come before, hmm, it's no surprise that Star Trek died, with Star Trek Enterprise. And, everybody says it gets better season three and four when it does kind of have these season long arc, but it was too little too late. So for me, for Star Trek Strange New Worlds to become the greatest Star Trek episode, and there was a guy in one of the groups that are, dubbed it the greatest Star Trek show ever after 5 episodes. Okay, I don't know about that, but it's got the potential to be. But for it to do that, I think it's got to get serialized at some point. There's got to be a season long conflict, and it can play it like the S9, because the S9 is not as serialized as Discovery, for example, where it's cliffhanger at the end of every episode for 16 episodes or 14 or however long the season is. No, Star Trek S9 definitely had that Dominion War going on, and maybe they talked about it every episode, but every episode wasn't the Dominion War. They were able to blend the Dominion episodes with Adventure of the Week, but within the arc. Okay, so that the story would move forward with everything going on with the Dominion. So I think for Strange New Worlds, for me, for it to get to that next level, it's got to do that. It's got to do that, and I think that it can, because the writers for this show are really good. As far as giving us the Star Trek show some people have wanted for so long, it's doing a damn good job at that. But it's paint by the numbers so far. It's very good paint by the numbers. It's like a good Marvel movie. All these Marvel movies are pretty much the same, but when you get a good one, you get a good one. You're like, yeah, that was nice, right? But it's still more or less paint by the numbers. There's a formula that is followed, camera style, acting style, story style, that it follows almost every single time. And but when it's done well, when the execution is as good as some of these Marvel movies can be, and as good as Strange New Worlds has been for its first 5 episodes, you forgive it. But you still say to yourself, what could be better, right? It could be a little bit more. You still watch, I don't know, Nolan's. I'm trying to think of some superhero movie that people agree is really really good, uh, and that takes some chances. So I guess universally loved the Batman movies by Nolan. Yeah, it's Marvel movies are not the Nolan verse, the Nolan trilogy. Definitely aren't. That's its own wonderful creation, and it takes chances, and I think that's what makes it great. That's what makes those movies greater than the Marvel movies, as much as I enjoy them when I go see them. And Star Trek Strange New Worlds right now is just, it's popcorn level Trek. I'm enjoying it. It's it's solid as hell, but I want to see it take that next step. I want to see it try something new. And maybe it's going to fall flat on its face like Discovery does on so many occasions. And by the way, I was talking to this lady in one of the Trek groups, and it was on that post by the guy that said that it's the greatest shows ever. And I was like, man, it's good, but I still prefer Discovery, eh, uh, because it's wacky. It's wacky Trek. And she got offended. She was like, oh no, Star Trek Discovery is great. It's not wacky. And I'm like, what are you talking about? For me, wacky is a compliment. I like the fact that Star Trek Discovery is insane. And it really is insane. My friend Peter watches it and he's like, this is the most insane show ever, but it's what's so charming about it. Everything's at 11 on Star Trek Discovery. Like, you don't have a moment of sitting down like this episode where they're just sitting down, having coffee, talking, enjoying each other. You don't have that. And it's great. I love it for that. And I hope it doesn't change. I also mentioned that last week. I hope it does not, Star Trek Discovery doesn't change because of what Star Trek Strange New Worlds is doing. What's special about Star Trek? There's a meme going around where Star Trek is like a restaurant. There's all different dishes, and they're different, and we can enjoy them all, or we can enjoy one more than the other. We can despise one, really say, "Oh, that's disgusting," but we're not gonna. I think the thing that we need to remember as Trek fans, is respecting that. Hey, maybe somebody likes to put ketchup on their pizza. Just put ketchup on your pizza over there. It's not for me. I'm gonna put some oregano on my pizza, and that's okay. And that's it, right? Respect that there's a lot to choose from, and there's a lot to choose from now with Star Trek. So enjoy it all. Enjoy half of it. Enjoy one of it. I'm sure, you know, there might be some young folks that will watch Strange New Worlds, and that'll be the only Star Trek they like. They'll be like, "Oh, these old shows are slow and boring. I gotta listen to this bald-headed dude give a speech again." Did Kirk just throw a styrofoam rock at somebody? And this is classic. Are these people on Deep Space Nine ever gonna stop talking? Is there anything gonna happen? Uh, well, there's too many complaints that you can make about Voyager, right? It's a joke, guys. I love Voyager. But yeah, you can feel that way, and that's fine, and that's absolutely fine. So enjoy all your Trek. Thank you for watching. If you like your Trek reviews, live casts, I got a couple notes here, but mainly, just off the top of the head, tired after a long day of work, style, you're on the right page. Live long and prosper. Love you guys. Have a great weekend and good night. Live long and prosper. Oh, and watch, if you want to comment below if you saw Stranger Things or Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm thinking about doing a video for Strange New Worlds this season, like a little character rundown. See you guys. Have a good night. See you Tuesday. Adios.